While here on the island of New Providence, I've not heard any announcement as to where um, residents are to go in the event of an emergency. Have you heard any place?
No, nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
I know, like I'm telling you, the meteorological department did issue their first alert on Hurricane Milton.
Yes.
And that alert at this present, well, when it was released at 12 o'clock, it didn't give any indication about islands that like say for instance, New Providence and Andros and Long Island, the rest, they didn't give any advisory for those islands, only the northeastern islands.
But even then, they didn't say where one should go in the event of an emergency.
Yeah, so maybe that's going to soon come out because...
Maybe when the Prime Minister speaks tonight at 7 p.m.
So they should have some shelters, prepared and ready for those people in Abaco, Eleuthera, and Bimini so that they can go to, because it does seem as if this storm is a rainmaker, but only that. There's a problem with surging. I don't know how the surge is going to affect the northern islands, but of course, when it hits the west coast of Florida, they're saying that you're looking at between 10 to 15 feet storm surge, which is incredible indeed, which could cause a lot of damage. So let's see what advice they give for the northern islands of Grand Bahama, Bimini, and of course the Abacos.
And the entire Bahamas.
Not the entire Bahamas.
Are you
Those
saying?
in the southern Bahamas, they don't have any need to worry. Those in the central Bahamas, you see what we're experiencing now? It's on-off rain. And
Am I not living in the central Bahamas?
yes, but I'm saying all we're going to be experiencing is just maybe some little bit of wind and rain. That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I have
It'll
a woman.
be okay. It does
I
appear.
have a woman who lives in Domingo Height, and she has already complained to tell me that with this rain, her house is leaking. And she told me she doesn't know what to do. She's a senior citizen, and she has begged me to come to her house. She wanted to show me the hole in the roof. So I don't know. I told her I couldn't come because I was heading to the studio, but I would come very, very early. I don't know. Based on what she is saying, it sounded to me like I have to ask Miles LaRoda if he have any of those, what you call it, what you put on top of the roof?
Top.
Any top. Yeah, perhaps that's what I'm going to do. Is Miles LaRoda still responsible for disaster? Who's responsible for disaster?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, we need to know.
Who would be the minister responsible for disaster?
Yeah. Well, I have a woman living in Domingo Heights. She called me shortly before 3. She's complaining that her roof is leaking and she doesn't know what to do. And she's asked me if I would come to see it. So when I listened to her and I recognized that she's an old woman, I told her, okay, I'll come. Call me 8:30. I'll come, and I don't know what I can find to put on top of that woman's roof. But the woman say her house is leaking, and she don't know what to do, and she decided that the best thing to do was to call me. So I don't know if Monroe has any provision for TAP. After all, he's the minister responsible for national security. Who knows? Maybe when I get to her house, I may call Monroe and say, Monroe, you know something? This constitutes a threat to national security. I may just do that and see whether or not he has any tap someplace in his ministry that he perhaps can give me Marcus, and then I'll encourage Marcus to go up on top of a roof and see if he could patch the hole. But the woman is complaining, and it sounds so terrible as she complained how it raining plenty down there in Domingo Heights and the roof is leaking and she ain't got nobody to fix this roof. So I'll go see it tomorrow if God spare my life. Anyway, some exciting things happening at BPL. You would recall that under the FNM, the former Free National Movement deputy leader Deputy Prime Minister. What was his name? My spiritual
Is that
advisor.
Desmond Bannister?
Desmond Bannister. Desmond Bannister had a jack. And let's call him Brother Rollins. Him and Desmond were tight. And those of us in F&M cycle, we knew that if Desmond was going on a trip, he would take his jack along with him. Well, apparently his jack got fired, and he took out an action in the Supreme Court. And it is a wonderful case that went to the Supreme Court, and it is a wonderful judgment which was issued by the Lord Chief Justice Sir Ian Binder. I thought I'd read this to you so that we can clearly show this nation the independence of the judiciary. So this is very powerful. A former Bahamas Power and Light Executive Director who alleged he was terminated because of his, quote, perceived political affiliation, end quote, with the F&M and Desmond Bannister has won a near $600,000 payout. Patrick Rollins, Desmond Bannister Jack, yesterday told one of the Negro newspaper, quote, justice prevailed, end quote, after Chief Justice Sir Ian Binder in a September 30th verdict from the Supreme Court awarded him 100% of his breach of contract claim after finding the state-owned energy monopoly violated his fixed-term employment condition. The former executive director, who earned an annual $180,000 salary prior to his January 21st, 2022 dismissal, alleged in his witness statement that he was warned by the BPL chairman, Pedro Roll, in December 2021 that unidentified members of the Davis cabinet were pushing for both himself and former chief executive Whitney Houston to be removed.
Whitney Hasty.
Who?
Whitney Hasty.
Let me go back to it.
Whitney Houston is the singer. She's
Really?
dead.
Really?
Wow.
Okay, let's go back to it.
Lord, I tell you.
This is powerful.
Oh, Lord. Okay,
uh,
I'm so sorry for distracting you. I should have just let you just go on ahead.
You ought to.
I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
you said it's Whitney
Hasty.
Hasty, okay? The spiritual advisor said when I saw Whitney
See
Houston.
it right there. Right.
It's Whitney.
Hasty.
Whitney
Mind you,
Hasty.
Hasty is there. But for some strange reason, you're seeing Houston.
I see Houston. Every time I see Whitney Hasty, I see Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
So this is what he was told. Both men had been appointed to their posts by the former minister's administration, and Mr. Rollins had assented. Chairman Roll informed me, that's Rollins, Desmond Bannister Jack, that certain people in cabinet were asking for your head and CEO Hasty's head because you know you are Desmond's boy. He added that Mr. Rollins asked him what sort of compensation he was willing to accept, as BPL would not pay the balance of the 3-year contract. Well, in effect, Sir Ian Binder, listening to the evidence, and notwithstanding that Rollins say that they suspect he was F&F, Sir Ian Binder ruled in his favor, awarded him $600,000. Isn't it wonderful? Huh? He got $600,000. And of course, there were other allegations that he made that Sir Ian struck down. But the money, Sir Ian Binder, our beloved Chief Justice, ignore the fact that he alleged that they regarded him as Desmond Boy, you see, and saying give him $600,000. Isn't it powerful? $600,000 BPL is going to have to pay to Brother Rollins, and it's great. So it's a good thing that he has not abandoned Desmond, okay? Most FNMs would be aware that when Desmond was ill and had to go allegedly to Taiwan and different eastern, wherever Taiwan is, Brother Rollins, they said he was one FNM that you could count on. Well, his friendship remained fine, and the court is independent, and Sir Ian Vinder awarded him $600,000. It's a glorious day. You see why I'm not afraid to be an FNM? You see why? Because Rollins, who's an FNM, he went to court, and a court constituted under an executive situation. The court ignored who was the prime minister, who was the government, and the court looked at the rule of law. And our brother Rollins, an FNM stalwart, he got $600,000. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that glorious? It is good for the independence of the judiciary. So I thank God that in 2024, we live in a Bahamas where our judiciary is independent, okay? And our courts are not concerned about whether or not you use FNM or PLP. They're concerned about what the law is. So it's a glorious day, and it's just a wonderful job that Sir Ian Vinder is doing. And I'm so pleased with it, particularly as an FNM. I'm pleased with it that members and supporters of my party, the FNM, can go to court, and we don't have to worry. The court ain't into your politics. The court look at, do you have a good claim? Were you treated fairly? And if you were not treated fairly, the court will then give judgment in your favor. So it's a glorious day. It's a great day for the rule of law. So, but there was some allegation that he made that Sir Ian Vinder did strike down. Okay, Sir Ian did strike down. So it's great. So Rollins, he will get and by now everybody would have heard that Hurricane Milton is threatening the state of Florida, and this is going to be perhaps one of the biggest catastrophe to hit the state of Florida in 100 years. Do you have any late breaking report, Mr.
Well, yeah. I just saw where the Prime Minister is expected to speak. I'm looking at the flyer. The Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, KC, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, is scheduled to give a national address tonight at 7 p.m. and it will be streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and of course you could watch it live on the national air carrier of, well, the national, what do you call it?
But you can watch it here on Eyewitness
News
News.
as well, yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely, so you can watch it here
Yeah.
on Eyewitness. But listen, there has been released the 2024 official hurricane shelter list.
Okay.
All right.
Where do we go who live in Baintown?
Not you. Let's look at Abaco first. All right,
Okay.
because Abaco.
Go to Abaco.
So in Abaco, if you live in Central District of Abaco, you got the Central Abaco Primary School, which is in Dundas Town. You got Friendship Tabernacle, which is in Dundas Town. You got Guana Key Primary School, which is in Guana Key. You got the Manawar Primary School, which is in Manawar Key. You got the Hope Town Primary School, which is in Hope Town. And of course, you got the Murphy Town Community Center, which is in Murphy Town. Now, if you're in the North District of Abaco, you have 3 shelters. You got the Amy Roberts Primary Preschool, which is in Green Turtle Key. You got the Faith Walk Church of God Community Center, which is in Cooperstown. And of course, you got the Grand Key All Age Preschool block, which is in Grand Key. Now, if you're in the Southern District of Abaco, you got 4 shelters. You got the Crossing Rock Primary School, which is in Crossing Rock. You got the Moores Island School, of course, that's on Moores Island. Then you got the Sandy Point Community Center, which is Ernest Dean Highway. And then, of course, you got the Soul Seeking Ministry, which is, of course, in Moores Island. Now, let's see. What about Freeport? No. The storm is going to more or less affect East Grand Bahama, right? Central East Grand Bahama or
Well, all I know is the warning is for the Northern Bahamas, and they identify them as Grand Bahama, Bimini, and Abaco.
So if you're in the West Grand Bahama, you got a couple shelters. You got 8 shelters. The Bethany Baptist Church in Hannah Hill. You got the Bethel Deliverance Center in Jonestown. You got the Church of God of Prophecy, Sea Grape. You got the Central Zion Baptist Church in Pinedale. You got the Bethel Baptist Church in Pinedale. You got the Church of God of Prophecy in Pinedale. You got the New Mount Olivet Baptist Church in Holmes Rock. And of course, you got the 8 Mile Rock Gymnasium in 8 Mile Rock. Now, if you're in Central Grand Bahama, you got 16 shelters. You got the Foster B. Prestina Hall of Special Needs Shelter in East Atlantic Drive. You got the Church of Ascension in West Beach Drive and Arden Force Road. You got the Central Church of God, which is on Coral Road in Pioneers Bay. You got First Baptist Church, Columbus Drive. You got Shiloh Seventh-day Adventist Church and San Coom Road. You got Revelations Apostolic International on Jobson Avenue. You got New Life Worship Center, Coral Road. You got Calvary Temple Assembly of God and Clive Avenue. You got the Bishop Michael Ellen School Auditorium, which is Beach Bay and Gambia Drive. You got the Church of God of Prophecy Community at Hart on Coral Road. You got the Flame of Fire in Williamstown. You got the Universal Household of Faith, Andrews Bay and Grand Bahama Way. You got the Flame of Fire, so you already called that one. You got the Maurice Moore Primary School. That's some Talkers Road and San Combe Drive. You got First Holiness Church of God in Young Husband Avenue, Miracle Bible Fellowship in Eleuthera Drive, Hawksbill. You got the Sir Jack Haywood Junior High School, Settlers Way. So those are the shelters for Central Grand Bahama and, of course, West Grand Bahama. I'll have to look down to see if I see anything from Bimini. All right, Sam, that'll be at the end of this segment.
This is Freedom March. God save the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. God save the United States of America. Let us pray this storm away. Hurricane Milton is on its way to the United States. The Northern Bahamas might be threatened. God save the King. Hold on, everybody. We'll be right back after the break.